Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to the November YouTube hop for a cherry on top. And we're focusing on Thanksgiving or gratitude, and yet you'll see this looks kind of like Halloweenish. I've decided to work on a black background for my Thanksgiving 2021 documenting, and part of the reason is that I really love the new Vicki Boutin line, but I also love her dark papers and all of her lines. This one I think is from Color Study. And what I love about them is they're black, but they've got these touches of color that show through. This right here I added, it's going to be covered up. But I guess the first thing I want to say is when you're experimenting with stamping, and these chalk distress oxides can kind of sit on the top a little bit, so you might get a little bit of transfer. What I wanted to do was to test out how they look, and they have this kind of ghostly effect when you stamp them on black paper. So I wanted to work with some of the subtlety of that and use the Vicki Boutin stamp set from Print Shop, which is right here. So that was one plan I had. I also tested out some gold mist, which works just fine on this paper, so I'll probably add that. But I guess the point I wanted to make is that if you're using a new kind of substrate or background and you want to test things out, you can actually use the very paper if you know you're going to put your photo and so forth in a certain place. I guess you probably know that. But anyway, just something I wanted to mention. Okay, so I will go ahead and talk a little bit about, before we start embellishing and doing the more artsy dimensions of this page, talk a little bit about the actual paper and photo block. I cut these rings, these half circles, from the Vicki Boutin paper that I'm obsessed with. I've been really using it a lot. Let me see if I can grab a scrap of it. It's this paper, if you can picture it in 12 by 12. So beautiful. It would be really beautiful to use in its full form, but what I've been doing is cutting it up and using it in different ways, either the half circles or, as you'll see in a second, the full circle. So here's my photo of my family up at my mom's, and this is Thanksgiving 2021. And I used some of the Print Shop paper with that wonderful blue flower. And then I've also been really obsessed with the tag cut apart sheet. So I cut 2 of the tags and then cut a 3rd and then a 4th and layered the 3rd and 4th behind these 2. As you can see, I also used one of the circles from the circle paper, and I did my journaling on that, continued on one of the tags, and I'm going to put this right over the title. And I also added a little washi. We'll talk a little bit more about washi tape from the collection in a minute. The wonderful, funky, cool black and white chipboard letters, which seem sort of retro to me. I love them because they kind of take me back to earlier days of scrapbooking supplies. Anyway, they are also from Print Shop. And it was fun to make a big long title so I can use a lot of them. I'd already used some on another layout for fall. And then this was 2021. So the chipboard set comes with these little numbers besides the letters, and I thought that was really cool. And I want, this is again a good occasion to use that. So I'm thinking I'm going to position this right here over the title. So let's go ahead and glue that down, tape that down. And that gives you an idea of what the back of those tags looks like too. A little different effect. And I might move that around a bit, but I think that's roughly where I want it. I guess the next thing I'll put down and the next thing I want to talk about is, have you ever tried the effect where you put a bunch of washi tape on a piece of white paper and then run it through your die cut machine? It's a technique that I love. Let me see. I will show you what I mean. This is, you can see they've already been cut out, but all you do is very simple, is just take the washi tape and put it in the order you'd like to create a kind of patchwork look. And I put in some regular black and white washi from my stash just to kind of break up the colors, but the beautiful floral and stripe and this dark teal, they're all from the Print Shop washi collection. Get like a stack of washi tapes. So really I am focusing on Print Shop here. You have the papers, you have the chipboard, and then also the washi tape. And I think not a fully conscious level, I was obviously inspired by the way these half circles and circles work on the paper, because they are just like that. They're this patchwork. So anyway, this is what the feathers, I used the Tim Holtz feather die to create these feathers from the washi paper that I made. And I'm going to position them here in such a way that they're not fully lined up, because otherwise they're cut from the same thing. So they match each other just enough, but I want also the eye to move around like that. I think you see what I mean, rather than keep them too close. So I'll probably, after I make the video, like stitch these down a bit. You can see I used a little orange thread in my sewing machine and stitched that. I want them against the black paper enough so that you can see that they're feathers when they're so colorful. Yeah, it might be hard, but yeah, very cool. I was, it's always surprising to see what the washi tape will yield once you do the die cut. So that was really fun. And I'm glad I put the black and white in there, since I have a black background. I decided to do that. I think there's a little bit of this one that still needs to be punched out. There we go. Yeah, and I thought I would put the third one up here. Kind of fits in this space up here. See if I have enough tape on that. Yeah, and then maybe a little stitch here, a little stitch here. Okay, so that kind of completes the base of the page. Now, I want to do a few things over the top. As I said, I'd like to use the stamp set that comes with Print Shop. I'm going to start by taking the Love This and just using some black archival ink. There, don't know if my head was in the way, but there, that was pretty much what I expected. I might do a little echo stamping, a little second generation there, just to give it a little shadow. Okay, and then we'll see how this turns out. I think the next thing I want to do is just do a little bit of this kind of ghostly stamping with the Distress Oxides. So that, I think, will work well with what we already have for texture on the background paper, but it'll add kind of a custom look. Yeah, that's cool. It's kind of good to have some that go off a bit. Trying to think where I want to stamp. I'm planning to use a little bit of texture paste on the layout too, so I think that'll go in these corners. Do a little stamping along the edge there. Yeah, okay. You're kind of watching me think. This is Scattered Straw. I just like the light colors on the black. I think they look pretty cool. This is Spun Sugar. And I'm going to stamp with these like right over. I'm not worried about it on my table. It'll clean up easily. But it's kind of a good idea if you're doing this to have a, have a page underneath your page to catch if you do go off a bit. There. Yeah, so you get the idea how that's like interesting. It adds in some additional texture that's wherever you want it on the page. Let's pop in Scattered Straw. That was Spun Sugar. I have a little bit of Antique Linen, which is kind of a tan color. And which one? I wanted to do this what do you call it? Asterisk. There. Is that off camera? Anyway, now you can see what Distress Oxide can do on dark scrapbooking paper. It probably would have an even different effect used on cardstock. But anyway, and you can also get a kind of idea of how cool these stamps are. I think the stencils and the stamps are designed to use together and to be layered because they're all like this. Let me grab the stencil. One of the stencil sets, the one that I has the circles and then these divided circles and then these flowers. And I didn't get a chance to experiment with layering and using them all together, but keep that in mind if you decide to get the stencils. I think it would be fun to play with them and see what you can do. Okay, so that's the print shop stamp set. And yeah, I think that's cool. The next thing that I wanted to do before the little tiny embellishment, actually, I think what I also thought I would do with the stamp set is just add a little bit of stamping on these circles because they're kind of bare. They're kind of just there to create a border. And since this is subtle and light, yeah, I thought that would be cool to do a little bit of additional stamping there. Just add another layer, add a little bit of texture. I'll clean my stamps later. I'm not going to do that now. Cool. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Let's go ahead and play with the stencil a little bit. Oh, just as I tried out on the background to see kind of what look I would get, I tried it out on here. This is a different Vicki Boutin dark paper. It's not quite as black. So I think it'll work well and provide a nice contrast. So I've got a palette knife and my stencil and my texture paste. This is the Tim Holtz Distress. And yeah, as I said, I'm kind of thinking just positioning some up here, see how they work. You know me, I just kind of go for it and get what I get. This palette knife isn't ideal because it has some like bumpiness to it because of dried paint and so forth. But the sample I did, I managed to smooth things out pretty well. Yeah, it keeps wanting to snag. Ta-da! There we go. Just gonna grab something to wipe that off, and in the meantime you can admire it. Okay, that gives a little bit of corner embellishment, and I really like the way that it picks up all the white against the black that I have down here in my title. That was kind of my idea. And so I'm going to do just a smaller amount, just a touch down in this corner. Let's see how I want to position. Is that on camera? Yeah. Yeah, once again, I'm getting a little bit of snagging. I should have a dedicated palette knife just to keep nice and smooth and to use for this technique. All right, I'll lift this up. And there we go. A little bit down on that side. Now I'm going to pop this into a pan of water I have over here. Yeah, it's really important to keep the stencil, get the stencil cleaned right away. You can't really wait on that because it'll dry and ruin the stencil. Okay. Yeah, so I'm not going to do, since this has got a lot going on, and see how pretty all of that looks against the dark background. I'm going to not do a whole lot of embellishing, but I did grab some blue and black and a little bit of white with gold enamel dots to put on the page, and then I'm going to use some gold mist. This is the Heidi Swap Color Shine. So those will be the final touches. So let's just go ahead and do that. I'll start with the larger black dots. And kind of get a bit of a circle this way. Can go a little bit over the photo, since there's lots of kind of blank space that isn't important in that photo. Okay, and then some smaller, let's see, we have one more, I have one more large dot, and I think I'm going to put it over, let's see, over here. And yeah, see how that's looking. There, just to add a little embellishment and kind of move the eye around the page. I like the blue. I thought the blue would look interesting on the black. So just throw a few of those down. I'll put one up here too. If you have a little bit of stray texture paste that you don't want, you can always stick an enamel dot on top. Okay, then the whole focus of the layout, if you read the journaling, is how wonderful it was to be with family, to really be together on Thanksgiving after the pandemic, and after the time where we had to sort of sacrifice the holidays for the sake of staying virus-free and figuring out, especially with my mom, how to keep her healthy and safe. So, but by 2021, we had our vaccines, and we're extremely grateful to be together again and have a family dinner. And as I point out in my journaling, there are some really big smiles on the face of my family members. We're all like laughing and smiling, which I think is really, really great. It makes me happy to think back on that day with my layout and my documenting of it. Well, anyway, I'm thankful for all of you for showing up, and be sure to hop along to the other videos on the YouTube Hop and leave some comments for the chance to win store credit. Thanks, everyone. Bye.